Welcome to Dear Lover, a space to dive deep into the unknown and celebrate diverse human creativity and devoted self-intimacy. My name's Amy, and I'm here to get real and unscripted in sharing my journey of reclaiming my feminine nature and awakening into my truth. We'll be sharing conversations and stories on self-love, sensual embodiment, intimacy, and creative empowerment, all with the intention to be on this journey together of coming home to our heart, embody the fullest expression of our sexuality, and lead with love, compassion, play, and joy. So let's trust, breathe, and believe, and create magic together. Today we are joined by Gina Marie. Gina Marie is an holistic pleasure coach, and she helps people create fulfilling lifestyles, relationships, and intimacy through teaching tantric practices. Her work acknowledges and integrates the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual body to promote wholeness and authentic pleasure. I loved having this conversation. It was very real, very honest, and we open up about our own journeys of exploring and unlocking our own sexuality and pleasure and intimacy. So I can't wait for you to listen. Let me know what you think, and you can learn more about Gina Marie through visiting her website at www.thesovereignhealer.com. And to learn all things tantra, relationships, and sacred sexuality, subscribe to her newsletter or follow her on Instagram at jaguar_priestess. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm very excited to be here. I know that we've been cultivating this podcast for some time, planning the day, and it's finally arrived.
Exactly. And, you know, I just want to honor that and honor the social media for this connection, because we haven't met. We've literally just connected on social media, and now we're here. And I feel like, you know, it's I love like the reminder of, because social media can be really challenging. It can be a bit of a car crash for some people, and some, you know, I know some of us, including myself, have had quite a journey on Instagram particularly, and I feel like I just want to honor that and highlight the goods that can come out of social media when used for a purpose and connection. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. These are our tools.
Exactly.
And we get to mindfully. And voila, now we're connecting. You're on the other side of the world.
Right?
I'm in Florida.
You're in South Florida. I'm in Barcelona. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to have this conversation. So first, just to get started, can you tell the listener just like an overview of who you are, a little bit about yourself, about just a high level overview, and then we'll go into the juicy details.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm Gina Marie. And like I said, I'm located in South Florida. I work as a holistic sex coach, a tantric teacher, and a somatic guide for both men and women and couples. And my mission, I believe, in this life is to help individuals, including myself, embody that full potential, that wholeness that we already are, by coming into our sovereignty, connecting to our body, connecting with our sexual energy, and using that energy to create in our favor, because we can create babies with life force energy and sexual energy, right? So what else can we create beyond just pleasure? We can create health, we can create successful endeavors, we can create anything that our heart desires, and really step into that fact that we are God, goddess, and we can create life in our favor and play and enjoy it, and really be open and receptive to the beauty, the power, the joy, the pleasure that life has to offer us. And it's just through coming into our heart, that wholeness that's within the heart space. So that's what I believe my mission is.
Amazing. And what a beautiful, beautiful mission. I love everything you said, and particularly thank you for sharing. And so so clearly, so succinctly, and I can tell with a lot of passion. I can tell and I can feel that you don't just teach it, you're embodying it and yourself, and you're been practicing this yourself, and it's you're sharing a part of your heart and your soul through your words and your message. I really feel that. Yeah. So when were you how did you come into this area? Like, where were you, for example, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 5 years ago in your relationship to your body, your embodiment path, and your sensuality and your sexuality? Can you tell us a bit about that?
For sure. So what actually kickstarted this whole path for me was about 6 years ago. I was in a beautiful, healthy relationship, and that held the space for me to really see more of myself and really go deeper into what I may need to be working on. I absolutely love this man. There was never a bad thing I could say about him. I only ever had beautiful things to say. And for some reason, I couldn't have sex with him. I couldn't bring myself. I felt very overwhelmed. I felt very anxious. I felt pain when I did have sex. I would bring myself to have sex because I felt like I want to keep my partner happy. I want him to be interested in me. So I got to do this thing. And I would go into it with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure to please, and just wanted it over with the whole entire time, because it would either feel numb or it would feel very painful, like sandpaper scraping my internal. And I even felt really embarrassed to share that with him. I felt like he'd lose interest. Maybe he'd go find somebody else that doesn't have these kind of problems. So I kind of was just like figuring it out myself. What can I do so that I can enjoy sex with my partner more effectively? And, you know, back then I was actually using like marijuana every time prior to intimacy, because it really did help alleviate the tension, alleviate the mind and all the anxiety and the pain in my vagina. But I knew that that wasn't sustainable. I couldn't do that long term. I also didn't like how after the next day I would feel really groggy and tired. So I was like, wow, I can't continue doing this. And one day I actually had like a breakdown, and I was like pushing him away, fighting with him just so like I could have an excuse for us to not have sex. And he kind of like, he was very attuned to me, very aware. And he kind of like called me out on it, how like I was pushing him away, and he feels like there's something beyond what's really like going on. And I just like broke down crying that this isn't something I can do anymore. I can't have sex. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just don't enjoy sex. It's always painful. I've just been doing this to make you happy. And in that moment, he felt very empathetic for me, very understanding, and wanting to support me. So he connected me with a friend of his who is actually a tantric practitioner, does body work. And I started seeing her, and I was receiving tantra massage, and she was also coaching me and doing hypnotherapy. Along with that, some mindset work, some emotional integration. And I was slowly opening up. I was slowly starting to feel my body, and also starting to feel safe and more comfortable talking about sex and the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, what I felt I needed, and making more time for sex. So that's really what kickstarted the journey for me. I mean, it wasn't something that obviously is fixed overnight. So the path continued to unfold, and I started meeting more tantric practitioners, exploring different forms of body work, different realms of tantra. And I really fell in love with that path because it felt like a pleasurable way of healing. It felt like I didn't have to cry or throw up in medicine ceremonies or do all these like weird like intensive things to quote unquote heal or get better. So I really fell in love with this. I was like, wow, like just by touching myself in like gentle, loving ways, just by meditating on certain parts of my body, just by like doing things that made me feel good or slowing down, it was actually coming more into myself and discovering deeper aspects of myself and seeing the things that needed to switch or shift, and just like really coming into myself through pleasure. So I was like, wow, I really like this. And I was really like intensely working on myself for like a good 2 years before I found that the pain and the numbness was like completely gone. And I was like juicy and engorged and just happy to connect. So it definitely took some time, but I saw that it was totally possible.
Yeah.
Totally possible. Yeah. And I did a complete 180 within my sex life, where I was afraid and anxious and doing everything I can to avoid it, to now like thinking about it all day. And like the second my partner and I were home, I'm like, come on, let's do this. Like I was really excited and looking forward to it. And I felt like really honored actually to be receiving my partner in that way. Cause I felt like, wow, like I'm learning about myself through our experience together. And from there, I just saw like, this is really powerful. Like this really deepened our relationship with each other, with myself. I'm enjoying my sex life. And as I continued just going through life, I found that there was quite a few women in my circle who were dealing with similar challenges that I was. So I was just sharing with them things that I've done, from like yoni eggs to yoni massage to just regular self-pleasure massage that doesn't even include genital touch. And like certain meditations to enhance the awareness. And they were practicing and they were sharing, yeah, like this stuff really works, Gina. And I'm like, yeah, great. So, I was seeing like, this didn't only help me, this is also helping my friends and other women who came to me sharing that this is also something that they were experiencing. So I thought, wow, like, this is something more people should really know that it exists, so they can have that option there if they felt like they needed that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm now a holistic sex coach.
Amazing.
Yeah, I want to share this with everyone.
Of course you do. Of course. Naturally, right? Naturally. Oh, so many ways I could take this conversation now based on what you said. Like it's so great. And one of the things that came out to me as you were speaking is that firstly, it sounds like you surrendered to that process. It wasn't ahead. It wasn't like you went out there and said, I'm going to be a holistic pleasure coach, holistic sex coach, and help. It was literally an organic process that you experienced and you went through yourself and you surrendered to it. And then you realized other women, your connections, experience the same challenges, and it just sounds organic. And I just want to highlight that because, I know that from my own experience as well, like rather than when we allow and surrender and think like, what's naturally occurring in our experience, what is our current experience, and how can we serve, how can we help people through our own experience. I think that's really powerful. So yeah. And also like, I love that the important point here is that you took responsibility, right? You took complete responsibility of and that's scary. That's a big, especially when it comes to female pleasure and our sexuality, like we have been conditioned with this beliefs and message of, like you say, our sexuality is to please men and we're here to please, and it's outward focus. I think that's definitely changing now for sure and transforming a lot. And I feel like that takes courage. That takes a lot of courage and a big heart, to keep your heart open as well. Yeah. And yeah, and another point that's want to highlight as well, what you said is we don't need to heal through pain and suffering and these intense, like, because that's what kind of when I first started my own path as well, I got into that. I did believe that through intensity and through, like, I did lots of intense breathing practices at the start and really like made my, I believe that I had to really cry and, and I almost like re-traumatized myself sometimes in the process. So yeah, finding this path of Tantra, and that we can, like you say, we can heal through pleasure and being intimate with our bodies. And what you said about it doesn't necessarily have to be sexually related as well. It can literally be, it's about presence. It's about awareness and consciousness and being with ourselves. So yeah. I love that.
I believe that's like the first step within Tantra. Connect with yourself, to have that self-awareness, to really be so in tune with yourself that you're aware of what you're feeling. And from that, you're deciphering, what do I need? And letting that need guide you to do the thing that's going to take you this further. Because it sounds like both of us, when we started our healing journey, it was about intensity. It could be like the breath work for hours. It could be the medicine ceremonies. It could be the combo, or like whatever it was, right? That really intense. And maybe we needed that back then, right? And obviously it served us because that's what we were guided to. However, now as we're coming more into ourselves and knowing that there's so many different tools out there, we can like really tune into ourselves and ask, like, what do I need? Is it that deep cry, or is it that hug, or is it that massage, or is it just to sleep? And give it to ourselves, because it's really just about feeling and letting that guide us to do, rather than think like, oh, like the mind from the ego, like, this is the thing I need to do. This is what's going to fix it.
It's more of an inward than outward process, rather than an inward process, right?
It doesn't have to be so complicated.
No, exactly. I know that's such an important message. Say that again. That's such an important message.
Our healing, quote unquote, I like to say, our coming into wholeness doesn't have to be so complicated. It really requires that awareness of, what am I feeling? Oh, let me actually feel this. Without trying to analyze it, without trying to label it, without trying to fix it or change it or figure out why that's the case. Let's just feel it and let that guide me, because it has a lot of wisdom. It's going to tell me what I need. It's going to tell me what I need to know. It's going to tell me what I need to do. It's going to tell me what I get to stop doing. And then there, voila, like, it's integrated, because it's through the embodiment of that energy, then it can shift and change into something else.
Yeah, exactly. And then knowing that it takes time, I think that's a thing. I have a lot of reminders myself and conversations with other women, that it's not you do one thing and it's all good. It takes time, the integration and the embodiment process. And two things. Firstly, for the listener who might not know really what, they might have a basic understanding, but they might not know what about Tantra. How would you kind of define Tantra in just a short sentence? And then, like, what have you found in maybe your experience or the women that you work with, the challenges that they come across, that they face?
Yeah, for sure. So to me, Tantra is a lifestyle. In actuality, like, when you were to Google Tantra and what it means, it's a Sanskrit word that is referring to weaving and expansion and liberation. And I believe that Tantra weaves together the energetic and the physical realms together as one, to help us manifest the unmanifested into this physical reality. It's all about creation. It's all about evolution. It's all about authentic expression, because through that authentic expression, we're allowing that energy of, spirit, that life force, to flow into physical matter and create something that affects everything around us very beautifully. And I believe, like we've been saying, it really starts with that presence, that self-awareness, that acceptance, that validation of ourselves, so that we're like, yeah, I feel like singing, so I'm going to sing right now.
Exactly, right?
What Spirit wants me to do, right?
Yeah.
And that's very tantric, like just allowing ourselves to do what's alive within.
Yeah.
And slowing down so that we can receive that message, that guidance, and then being that.
Yeah. 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 And not judging ourselves in that process. There's many of the times, especially here in Barcelona, the energy of Barcelona is beautiful. I feel like it's a wave, a feminine wave of energy here in Barcelona. And there's multiple times where I feel like dancing down the street, it's a beautiful city and it just calls for movement and dancing. And yeah, and there's times when I have, but there's times when I've been like, oh, I can't do that. Like people will say this, this, and this, or think this, and this. And again, that's awareness for myself to be like, okay, I'm still having some judgment here of, of what people will think. So yeah. I love that.
Giving yourself that permission to do it regardless.
Yeah.
And I always tell myself that no one is going to judge me quite like I'm judging myself. Like it's really me, and I'm projecting that onto other people. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember you asked, what are some things that women come to me to receive my support in? And self-judgment is actually one of the top things that women, even men, come to me with, that they feel challenged by. I mean, we're all human. We all want to be accepted and feel loved and feel safe. So obviously that is a fear of ours, to be rejected, judged, and then we're like abolished by society. So other things that women come to me to receive my support in would be that they don't feel connected to their body. Like it's tough for them to understand what they're feeling or actually feel sensations in their body, or they're not feeling safe to be themselves, to communicate what they need, to communicate what they like, what their boundaries are. There's a lot of resistance and fear around that communication, and really owning authentically who they are and what's alive, what's their truth. Other things are like that they're not able to be sexually active with their partner, either because of sexual trauma that they've endured in the past, or because they're like very much in their head in the present moment, that they are not able to really feel. And it's like, again, very overwhelming for them as well. Other challenges are like if there's conflict within the relationship, like lack of trust, or just not really being able, again, to communicate with each other, or there's a lack of intimacy or a lack of their needs being met, or like they're always trying to have a certain experience with their partner, like whether if it's like a activity or like a date night or something, but like their partner isn't on the same page with them. So they're like learning how to compromise and how to find like win-win solutions. Some other stuff.
No, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Before we go into ourselves and a bit more into like what we're personally experiencing currently, can you share a bit about, you said these are challenges with women, I hear that you work with men as well. Can you share a bit about some of the challenges that that men come to you with, and and how you work with them?
Yeah. So primarily for men, it's that they're having a challenging time actually meeting women who are able to have that long lasting connection with. Like they're a little bit confused as to like where to meet like quality women. Or like when they do meet a woman and they are dating, they're a little bit confused as to like what conversations to have, what is like a little bit too much to invest in on a woman, like in those first couple of months, or like what is the right amount, or like how to actually understand how to hold space for a woman emotionally. Because us women, we're very emotional and they're very logical, so they don't really understand the emotion quite much. So then they feel like a little awkward, or like they're not actually supporting a woman. And that's actually something that men are they prioritizing. Like they want to support women. They really do want to help us. They just aren't sure how. So men are asking me like, how do I show up in certain situations when emotions are high? Also, men are really wanting to cultivate their sexual energy. They're tired of the superficial orgasms. They're wanting to have more expansive pleasure. They're wanting to also pleasure their partner and ensure that their partner is enjoying their experience, but also minimize that pressure and that responsibility that comes with that desire. Those are primarily the things that a lot of men come to me for.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. Because in my experience, I've worked with women, so it's interesting. It's only now that I've been talking, having more conversations with men, and it's very interesting to. It sounds like we're both genders are wanting the same thing, and it's like coming together, and I feel like coming into acceptance with each other, and being with each other in that relationship. I know relationships are beautiful. I feel like relationships are our biggest, most beautiful experience, and also our biggest challenge, right? And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. So, going into what I want to talk about now is just touch on where you're at right now in your current journey, in your relationship to yourself, and we can talk about that, and I can share some bits of where I'm at. I'm sure we'll resonate and with each other and connect there as well.
Yeah. So currently in my journey, so I recently, 3 months ago, got out of a relationship that was 2 years long and very beautiful man. Him and I, we explored the tantric path together. So there's definitely a lot of connections emotionally and spiritually that still linger. And the grief of that breakup actually propelled me even deeper into my tantric path within myself, my development sexually even. And so currently within my path, I'm prioritizing being my own lover, being my own man, my own father, my own mother, my own best friend, showing up for myself daily for self-pleasure. And of course, that looks very different every day, depending on what am I feeling and needing. And just like really having a lot of fun with myself, and like taking this time to just have fun, like dance, to creating a lot currently within my business, content wise, program wise, service wise. And it feels really good. It feels so amazing and uplifting to be in service, and being in service, along with pleasure. And like these things that just help. I feel like that is the antidote to any pain or any conflict. It's pleasure. It's purpose.
Pleasure and purpose. Yeah, I hear you. Pleasure and purpose.
Yeah. So those are the things that are like really prominent currently for me. And also in my own way, right? Because new levels bring different devils, right?
I love that. I love that.
Seeing where now I'm like, oh, there's another layer of openness that I can achieve as I am like connecting more with myself, with my own desires, with my own pleasure, with my own, that definitely brings me more into my own worth and my value and my standards. And knowing that I don't have to settle for anything less than that because I can give it to myself. Yeah. And if that's not being provided, it's like there's an abundance of that with myself, others, right?
Yeah.
And just like really taking this time to cultivate relationships with my sisters who are also tantrikas and, play and support each other and like really pamper one another. And again, like I kind of drifted from like this lesson that I'm like currently seeing where it's like I get to open myself up even more to love, even more to receiving what is already here in my life and being receptive to the love that's already given to me, right? Like there's certain people in all of our lives, I think, that are really close to us that maybe we take for granted, that maybe we're like, like even frustrated with this person and their innocence and their genuineness that, and for me, what I'm seeing is when I can be really present and receptive to that and be grateful for it and even reciprocate that is me opening more to the love that's already available. And because I'm open, it's like expanding my caliber to receive more of that. Yeah. So for me, it's just more about like, okay, feeling like it's okay and it's safe. And this is actually what my life is about, to experience love, to give love, to like just play. Like there doesn't need to be a destination besides just being and feeling and having that love and that pleasure.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for sharing. I feel like, I hope the listener really like, listen, here's the message, here's the energy behind your words. And I feel it, and I can really, I feel the love, like speaking from the heart and your own truth. And I deeply feel that as you're speaking, and I hope the listener can as well. And because what I'm hearing you say, which is so beautiful as well, it's the more that the masculine energy is holding the space and being your own man, and the more that we allow ourselves to be receptive and be held in that energy of that masculine energy, the more the feminine is open and receptive and things. Because one of the things that I hear a lot from some women is I'm too much in my masculine energy, and then it's a judgment of that, right? And it's like, oh no, we just need to, it's just changing the relationship to what you believe in, however you got that from, right? Where have you read that somewhere? Like, firstly, kind of breaking down what that actually means for them. And I feel like what you're saying is true. It's literally, it's holding the space. It's allowing yourself to be in that presence and that, and giving yourself the love and the support that you need. Because I feel like as well, like that's really attractive for men as well. A woman that's so empowered in herself, that knows herself, but then is receptive to a male, a male, to be held in her fullness, in her most aliveness and love.
It's actually that woman's ability to be in her balanced masculine that calls forward the external man's masculine energy. Like I remember seeing this post on social media actually yesterday, where some of the characteristics or actions that women do to men that shut down their masculine energy is like asking for their help, but then cutting that support short because you're not enjoying how it's being done and you think you can do better. So you step in and then you take over the task that you had initially asked him to help you in.
Yeah.
And it takes masculine energy actually for, like, I remember you mentioned, like, a lot of women are saying, like, I'm in my masculine energy, I'm too masculine, and they want to be more feminine. However, in order for a woman to be more feminine, she doesn't be in that masculine energy.
Exactly. Yeah.
She needs to change the masculine energy, that standpoint from wounded to balance, where it's not controlling and it's more present.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the wounded masculine energy is like the control and like it has to be done in
and
this.
The criticism and the
And then like that balanced masculine energy is like being present and being the observer and really holding the space for like what's happening to happen. So it's like in that situation, it's like, if you're wanting help, like even that, it's going to require you to speak up and use your voice and ask for help, which is a very masculine thing, to speak up and to take initiative and be like, hey, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
And then know to sit the feminine down and be like, all right, sit down, relax, I got you. Like it's being taken care of. And then the feminine to just like really surrender into that knowing. It is safe to sit. It is safe to just allow it to unfold however that person's doing it, and to trust that that is divine.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's needed. However they perform that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Trusting that we're exactly where we're meant to be in that moment, and trusting that we're feeling or experiencing whatever we need to. Yeah. And I love what you said about there's no destination. My life is not about having a destination. It's about experiencing love. Like, I wish I wish that is life, right? That is life. I wish everyone, embodies that and can live and like knows that and lives that. And, it always, imagine what's possible. Imagine what's possible if we all lived in that truth and that knowing that we're here to experience love. Like we're here to experience love and serve love and be love and give love and receive love. And wow. Yeah. Thank you. So just taking a bit of a shift, back to what we said at the start, actually, about creativity, about using your sexual energy and the relationship to your sensuality and your body and awareness to create, right? And but firstly, I'd love to for you to just share a bit about more in depth your journey on like your creativity. I can see that you're creating so much already for your business and everything, and it's such a creative process. How has harnessing your sexual energy, I don't know what the word is, not enhanced, like expanded your creativity? There you go, expanded your creativity.
Yeah. So harnessing my sexual energy really helped expand my creativity and my life in quite a few ways. So I would say it starts with how I go into my sexual experience with myself. It's not like whatever you'll see on like porn or movies or like anything like that. Or, I think a lot of people feel that self-pleasure or sex needs to look a certain way. And so they're in performance rather than in connection to themselves and what is being felt. So for me, my approach is like a meditative experience with my self-pleasure. And that allows for me to connect with my energy my sexual energy, with how it feels and where it's at. And like be able to cultivate it and enhance it through even things that are completely non-sexual, like tickling my neck, tickling my neck, or like having my hair tickle my back. And that can like stimulate a lot of energy. And I also use my breath, and I move that energy, and I use the sound to like really enhance the experience and like turn myself on just with these things that are completely non-sexual. And I start to feel that energy like at the root and at the pelvis, start to like tingle and start swirling. And I start to like breathe into that. And I have an intention as I am, like, what is it that I want? Maybe it's like some money. Maybe it's more clients. Maybe it's like to support my client in having X results in their journey with me. Or maybe it's like to have a home, right? Like I will breathe my intention into that energy. And like, I'll keep the intention in mind as I am in self-pleasure. And I don't believe that there needs to be an orgasm in order for that to come to fruition, because actually yesterday, I was just like in self-pleasure, and I didn't have an orgasm. I was just like playing with myself, and not even really sexual ways. I wasn't touching my breast too much or my vagina. And when I came out of that, I got a new client, and they paid me. They signed up for my program.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's one way, right? Like I feel that me being in this receptive state of pleasure, of high vibrational energies and emotions, like pleasure, like love, like laughter and feeling good. It makes everyone magnetic to other things that are in alignment to that vibration, like prosperity, and abundance, and opportunities and success, right? So there's been that's actually happened to me quite a few times, where I'm in self-pleasure and then I get out, and the next hour or the next day I receive like a good amount of money.
Yeah.
So that's one way.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that. It's amazing. And when I tell people, like, I'm like, believe it. Like, it's true. It's true. Like, it's true, you know? I recently basically manifested, my new flat on an island from this, like 24 hours later. I'm like, this actually happened. And it was everything that I was envisioning and feeling and things as well. So, yeah.
I believe that money is actually like the element of water, and it's like this very like flowy thing. However, like our inner waters need to flow, like, and our sexual energy is water as well. Like that's like the element of water. I feel like these two are very connected through that element of water. And like when we're, even for like men, like the sexual energy is water. Like that's the element of our sacral chakra. And when we're like, our sacral is like flowing and it's open, and it's like, you know, that life force energy is actually flowing through us, you know, we're having that stream actually flowing. And then of course, like money is coming to us. I feel like if we're turned on, we're turning life on for us. We're turning money on for us. We're turning on abundance, love, and all the things because we're turned on. Everything.
That's amazing. If we're turned on, life is turned on for us, not the other way around, right? Not expecting, life needs to turn us on. Like, no, we turn ourselves on and life gets turned on as a result of that.
Exactly.
I love that. Yeah. Amazing. There's so many things. And what about money? Yeah, definitely. That's so interesting. That's such a interesting way of looking at money. So I believe it to be true as well, because I've experienced it as well, of money just flowing in when I have been open, and then when I've been contracted, money is stagnant. And you know, so I resonate. To last question, and then there's 5 kind of one words, quick fire questions at the end to answer. But before we do that, what I want to ask you about is education, is how, because I find it so interesting. This is part of the message of the podcast is just to bring in the message of how can we, all the creative abundance and of the guests on this podcast and your own experience and your personal journey and the work that you do now, and how, in your opinion, what would you say if you're going to go back to, go back to an education, like what would you say, how would you go about teaching, I don't even know if that's the right word, like guiding, like say young teenagers in this path, in this tantric path? Like what would be your way or your guidance to the young people?
Beautiful. I love this question. Personally, for me, I believe it starts way before they're even teenagers. Yeah, I know, I started actually exploring myself when I was like 5 or 6.
Right. Yeah, me too.
So I think it starts way before our teenage years. I would say, I mean, first off, I don't know about you. I don't know about the majority of our listeners, but I know for myself and a lot of people in my circle, we had pet names for our genitals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, my vagina was called a Tweety. Yeah. And I felt like it was like so cringe when my mom would say that. Like, even as I was 5, I'm like cringing at this. I'm like,
or even like not putting a word to it and be like, just that, don't touch there. I'm like, what is so wrong about this?
Exactly. You know? Like it's no different from my elbow. Like we don't call my elbow a Tweety. Like no, it's an elbow.
Exactly.
Okay. It's a vagina. It's a penis.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where we can start.
Exactly.
Let's first start by teaching our children like the proper anatomy terms for our
Yeah.
And also, not like saying it's wrong to touch that. If like when I have children, I will tell my children like, like you can touch your body, be careful with yourself, be gentle with yourself because you can hurt yourself. So, only do things that feel good. However, do that in privacy, like do that in a place that's safe with yourself, because that's a private, intimate moment with yourself.
That's key. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that. It's sacred, right? Exactly. Because it's not about, allowing, sometimes when I've asked this question to my friends, it's sometimes the response I have is, oh, well, that's all good, but we don't want children to be touching themselves in public and doing everything. I was like, it's not about that. It's about respect it, like you said. It's still honoring the privacy, honoring the sacredness of our sexuality and the sacredness of being intimate with ourselves. And I love what you said, just to highlight about it starts before teenagers, right? It's just an age, it's just a number. And it is. I feel like our sexuality is very innocent in its most pure sense, in its most purity. It's so pure, like it's the most innocent. It's our innocence, our sexual being. And I believe like we are born like these sexual beings, like really sexual, and we just get, we get all these messages and things as we go through life that it's not okay, and et cetera, and I mean, again, like and approaching like our sexuality and our sensuality from a young age, from a place of exploration and curiosity. I mean, I feel like I started exploring like my body and my sexuality in a bath, really innocently. I was in a bath with another girl, and I think I was about 10 years old, and it's just pure innocence. It was pure, we had the shower, and we're like, it feels good when we put the shower near our vaginas, and we were just playing. It was literally not, sexual in that way. It was just two girls exploring what feels good together. you know?
Yeah.
So it's taking it back to that innocence.
Yeah. And I feel that because, you know, we're only learning what our parents know.
Yeah.
And they're not knowing anything and any better, that, you know, it's just what they were taught to not touch that, or that's bad, or, you know, because I think there's a greater fear that, you know, they might get hurt, or they're going to be irresponsible about this. But that's where it requires the communication, not the denial and keeping this under the rug, and we don't talk about these things. No, we do need to talk about it. So this way we can eradicate that fear, and we can know that our child knows not to do this in public, or knows not to do this to other kids, right? Or, you know, knows to be safe, and like how to have, when they're older, when they are teenagers, right? Knows how to engage sexually safely, where they're protected from STDs, STIs, unwanted pregnancy, and also like in a way that I mean, I'm not an advocate for birth control, but you know, there's ways, like if we can really learn about our body, and the second that we go through, like as women, we go through our receiving our monthly cycle, right? Like we should be learning about fertility awareness and how to connect with our body, that we're receiving these clues that we're fertile or not. And same thing for men. I feel like, you know, fathers need to understand for themselves how to cultivate their sexual energy and have that level, that awareness of their level of arousal, and how to, like, you know, keep that to a certain point so that there isn't these unwanted premature ejaculation experiences. And they should be teaching to their son. And I feel like such a great time to have these conversations with our children is like, I mean, I would first start like with their anatomy, right? Like at a young age, and like allow them to know that this is okay to play and to touch and to explore, but, you know, in the safety of your own presence in a private area, and you're gentle with yourself. And then when they, you know, obviously they're through that, they will start to explore and play and have probably more questions for you, and to answer these questions honestly. And when we start to see that they are exemplifying sexual behavior, this is a great time to about sex with them, and talk about what sex is and how it happens and how it's sacred and how we should respect this, and the things that we should talk about before ever engaging in sex, and the things that we should come into sex knowing. So that this way there's a lot less shame, there's a lot less fear, there's a lot less problems and challenges, and we're actually enjoying this aspect of ourselves. I feel like this is like kind of the generation that we are all like awakening to our body, to our sexual energy. We're starting to do the work to redefine the relationship around our sexual energy. And through that, we will be able to teach our children. And that's what will start the revolution. Yeah. And I feel like that's what's really necessary, because like you said, it's innocent. It's life. It's our life. Like if without it, we'll not be here. Yeah. It's our life force. Yeah. We need to come into acceptance of it, because this is how we got here. Exactly. Yeah. And exactly. And that's a great point to end on, is that it's the relationship to our sexuality and coming into acceptance and of that's going to create the revolution. It's coming back to us, and it's taking the ownership, and that's empowering. That's empowering for the individual, which as a result will be empowering for the collective, and revolutionize the way that we teach and guide our young generation regarding around their sexuality and their creativity. So amazing. Thank you so much. Before we do the questions, where can you just tell listener where they can find you, or any offers or services you want to share about that you currently have? Yes. So currently you can find me through Instagram. My handle is tantric_jaguar_priestess. My spirit animal is a jaguar.
I love that. I love your name.
And my website is thesovereignhealer.com. And currently, I actually have enrollment open. I open enrollment for my program, Self, Sex, and Success, every other month. So that is a 4-month journey that travels each individual through a path to access and achieve 4 different milestones, which is redefining their relationship to themselves, enhancing their connection to their self-awareness, and then integrating the pain body, and also exploring the tantric pathways and cultivating harmonious, authentic, heart-based relationships with others. So those are like the 4 milestones that we really focus on within Self, Sex, and Success. And anybody can inquire about that just through messaging me, reaching out to me, or through DMs or emails or on my website.
Great, thank you. And I'll put all the details of where you can find Gina Marie in the show notes. So that's it. Thank you so much. We're just going to end with 5 questions. 1-word answers. Let's see. Can be quite challenging. Are you ready?
Fun, yeah.
Number 1, what do you love most about yourself?
Wow. I would say my smile.
Beautiful.
Smiling.
Yeah. So magnetic as well. You know, I love when we're walking down the street and you simply, I love smiling at people. I used to live in Thailand. And I used to live in Thailand, and genuinely when people ask me, what do you most miss about Thailand? It was genuinely the Thai smile. Like, because we couldn't speak the language, like there was a massive communication barrier, but everyone smiled at each other, and it's just such a ripple effect of energy, you know. So yeah,
so good. I feel happy. Like if I'm smiling, I know I'm happy. So
exactly, it's a signal to your body. Like, okay, we're happy. Yeah, I love that. Number 2, what do you value most in others?
Integrity.
Okay, good. Number 3, I feel like we've touched on this. If you could come back in another lifetime as an animal, what animal would you choose to be?
Definitely a jaguar.
Yeah, thought so. I love that. Okay, number 4. One word. This is a difficult one to sum up in one word. What is the one thing you envision being included in the education of the future?
Oh,
it's a hard one, this.
Like in school systems?
Yeah, like just generally as well, because I also believe, like, I'm not even sure that we'll have schools as we know it in the future. But yeah, just in education in general. I know that's a really... Sorry, go on.
Authentic Tantra.
Authentic Tantra. Yeah, I know that's a really general question. Maybe I should reword it. But it's quite difficult to answer. Authentic Tantra. Yeah, I agree. The last one, number 5. What is one piece of wisdom that you would give your youngest self from your higher self now?
To put myself first.
I love that.
Choose myself.
Choose yourself. Yeah. Amazing. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I love this conversation.
This was lots of fun. Thank you. Yeah. I'm so grateful to be on your show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or post it on social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping to get the message out. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Talk to you soon.